Hello and welcome to Rena's Painting and Crafts. So today I'm working on a bookshelf for a reading nook here. So we've put in a mattress and a bed frame and put a bookshelf in here that we custom built. So we got some plywood from Home Depot and cut it down and screwed it together with some pocket holes and 3D printed some brackets to make some adjustable shelves, which you could probably just buy off Amazon cheaper, but we had the 3D printing available, so we went ahead and did it. So, already put together the bookshelf. As you can see, we painted the wood parts with polyurethane. So most of the wood that you see is already coated with about 2 or 3 coats of polyurethane. The back of the shelf and painted a solid black, same paint you see me using to trim it out. So this is just trimming the edges out on our bookshelf here. And then we're actually painting back white to match the walls to kind of blend into the space. So it's a very custom bookshelf that we're doing here, and it's a lot of fun. So things to keep in mind, here I'm using water-based just because it's a lot easier for cleanup and just with in general, in my opinion. I tend to use a lot of like wet washcloths to wipe things up to get a little bit of overspray or over painting on the edges and different things like that, so it's a lot easier to work with in my opinion, as well as cleanup. I also got one of the cheap, less than $1 little tray caps for my paint jar from Home Depot. It's a new thing that I found recently that I really like because it helps me keep from spilling the edge of my can. So I tend to use it to wipe off paintbrushes and different things like that. See my husband here put up some tape. We decided to tape off the walls. It's pretty easy to wipe this paint off of any of the wood surfaces that have polyurethane on them, but the wall itself was going to be a little trickier. That paint was probably going to stain the white wall, so I went ahead and did all of the taping to tape the edges off to not get that black paint on the wall. You may also notice me walk green occasionally. It's because I'm using the cheapest of the cheap paintbrushes. I have some nicer like 2-inch brushes for doing bigger stuff like the back. However, on this one I went for a 1/2-inch brush, which was just like the wooden brush with the 2 bristles, and so sometimes it does shed bristles on me and I just pick those out and throw them away. I really like when work came out. It really pulled the whole thing together on this side, and it's really starting to bring our reading nook together. Overall, it really took me about 3 hours, if I had to guess. I didn't really time it, but it took much longer than this time-lapse version. This is actually running at 10 times speed. I did end up pulling out that just because it was a little challenging for me to reach, and it'd be easier for me to paint on the table off camera. But a lot of the other shelves I just kind of pulled out so they're in front of the shelf and then painted that edge, since our shelves are removable. It'd also be pretty to go ahead and screw them in to be permanent shelves. It would have probably helped with our leveling a little bit, but I like that the adjustable shelves, and you can just pull them out that way. On our shelves, we went about 10 inches deep for our books, and that is actually way more than we needed. I still have like a couple inches of space in front of my books, so if I did it again, I'd probably make it even a little shallower, even though it's already a pretty shallow bookshelf. Because you're looking at about 10-inch shelves there with 3/4 inch plywood. And with all, you can always do whatever color you like. It's just what we chose. The light wood with the dark. It matches our room, which worked out well. You also might have noticed I'm still in actually my Ren Fair dress from a Ren Fair event today that we went to downtown. I tend to paint in pretty much anything. It has to be a pretty messy project for me to actually go change clothes for a painting project. I'll paint in pretty much whatever I'm in. Motivations, I take advantage of that and just go for it. A couple tips for pulling tape. So when I pull the tape off the wall, you can just pull it, but it's a little nicer on your paint edges and a little nicer on your wall if you pull the tape back towards itself. So instead of pulling away from the wall, pulling the direction that you are moving the tape tends to help. That also helps stickers and just kind of going slow and taking your time. So at this point I'm pulling everything out the bottom of the shelf and just trimming out the base of it. I didn't paint the back of it here just because it doesn't show. A lot of my painting comes down to good enough because, as a person wiser than I has probably said, perfection is the thief of joy. And so the longer I try to the more I tend to dislike it and have to take a step away to appreciate it again. So, just kind of getting what I can, trimming out, taking my time. I'm trying to get those straighter edges, but just kind of going for it. And if mistakes happen, they happen. I'm sure you see a few spots I even on the wall, and I ended up coming in back some white to touch those up. So I just repainted the white on the wall. I typically just use a wet cloth to touch up different spots where my lines aren't straight or I get over onto the other edge. Angle your paint makes a big difference. The edge of these plywood a little challenge. Actually got to get into the creases as well as all the way to the edge and try to keep a nice straight clear. Again, it's not perfect, but I was very, very happy with how this turned out. Looks really sharp, really pulled the whole bookcase together. I don't think you'll be able to see it here, but on the bottom, our bookcase does go all the way to the floor and the carpet on that right-hand side, so I actually ended up taping the carpet down and shoving my tape underneath the bookshelf, which worked well. So a little bit of teaser for what's next. I'm looking at doing one of the mythic mugs. I found a 3D printing model, so now I'm spray paint prepping it for painting. So it holds a can and it looks like a tavern mug. So super excited for that. That's probably what I'm going to be doing next. Have a great day.